Okay, today we are going over different types of magic and different types of occult practices. Different types of magic would be different forms of magic used in spell work, things like that. Occult practices are basically just different branches of magic, which is occult, paganism, so to speak. Different types of magic. There is binding magic. Binding magic is meant to control someone metaphysically, to restrain someone from doing harm to themselves or others. Also, some binding magic is used in the form of love spells or wedding ceremonies. Binding can go both ways if you think about it. It can go towards binding someone to you or binding someone's ability, binding them from doing something. Candle magic, it's a very typical kind of magic. It is utilizing the fire from the flame of the candle as a source of energy for the magic. You can use it to influence events, manifest intentions, and it does tend to have some restorative power. It can also be used for candle meditation, which if you have trouble focusing in a normal meditative setting, it's actually very useful. I do it myself. You just focus on the flame. It gives you something to focus on to shut your brain off from everything else. There's also, and I might be pronouncing this wrong because I'd never heard of this term before. I've done it before, never heard the term. Ceromancy. Basically where you read the patterns and shapes of the wax as well as reading the flame and the smoke itself. I've done it before. A lot of us have done it before. Never knew it was called that. Didn't know it even had a name. Crystal and stone magic. Crystals and stones are incorporated in, like, I want to say 80% of magic in some way, shape, or form. Almost everything I have done has consisted of some sort of crystal or stone or something. At least when it comes to spell work. Using crystals and stones in magic, it's very diverse. Each crystal and stone has different meanings, multiple meanings, which is why I've said in the past that you can interchange different stones if you don't have the one that the spell says you need. You can interchange it for something that has the same properties or similar properties. But it makes it so much easier to find certain stones for certain spells that you need. Some believe that crystals hold specific energies and vibrations that can interact with and influence the human energy field. Also having healing properties and helping with energy flow. Chakras, Reiki, that sort of thing. I mean, I have not witnessed in person, but I have heard of people doing a stone for each chakra point down their body as a form of healing or realignment or something. Dream magic. It uses the mind as part of magic. It's incredibly useful for tapping into the astral plane and someone's own mind. Using dreams to tell the future, gain insight on your current situation, reading dreams for self insight. Traveling into someone else's dreams to manipulate it is also possible. Don't advise, but it is possible. Manifesting, lucid dreaming, and astral travel. I was about to say astral travel. Yay. When it comes to dream magic, basically that consists of, like I said, astral. A lot of people, myself included, have premonitions via dreams. Some people can speak to the dead through dreams, and which I've also done. But it also gives insight, and I think I've touched on this before. It also gives insight into basically your subconscious and into what you're dealing with, which is why a dream journal is very helpful. You can write it down, put a date on it, title it, describe everything you remember. That way you can go back to it later on and look up the meanings, interpret, and if you feel like you need to pull tarot just to confirm, pull tarot, whatever you need to do. And it is very helpful. And certain dreams, the meanings that you would find online don't necessarily fit because it's kind of like a family trait thing. It's weird. I know. And lucid dreaming is a thing. It's where you can control what you do in your own dream. It's the best comparison I can give, and it's not something I have experienced myself either of what I'm about to say, but I've heard it described. It's kind of like an acid trip. Never been on one. I wouldn't know. But from what it was described to, the way it was described to me, is as long as let me put it in the context of dreams. You're aware that it is a dream, so you have control over what you're doing, basically. And you can explore in it further. You can also venture into I'm going to butcher the phrasing. Someone's going to correct me. No one's going to correct me because I hardly have anyone that watches. Oskic. Basically the Hall of Records. There we go. That's the best I'm coming up with. Where it goes into your past and things like that. You can access the Hall of Records. But that takes immense power. Do not expect to be able to do that right away. I still can't do that. But you also can learn things about your past lives through dreams. That I have done. And it's one of those things you don't really have control over, but you know it's what it is. It's very weird. Next is elemental magic. Elemental magic, it's typically used for rituals. Calling the quarters and things of that nature. It is basically summoning all of the elements for assistance to gain power from those elements. Most common elements are air, earth, fire, water, and spirit. Other less common ones, which you're not gonna, it's really uncommon. You're not gonna typically hear it. Though they exist, and I didn't realize these were ones, are lightning, wood, life, and chaos. Never heard of them before until I started doing research for this. And I do research everything before I do a video, just to make sure I have my bases covered and to see if I can gather some new information I don't already know. Next is glamour magic. It's basically an illusion. It can be as simple or as complex as you want it to be. Originally it was used to make some form of a disguise. It's a subtle form of sorcery that focuses on influencing how other people perceive you. It can also be used, I found out not long ago, as kind of like a siren song to pull people to you. Which is very bizarre. Herbal magic. Herbs are used in almost every form of magic. Like 95% of it. Never have I not used an herb. It's extremely diverse. Every herb has a different use. And again, it's like with the crystals. You can substitute for something that does the same thing or something very similar. It's used for spell work, healing, and rituals. In most cases. There are probably cases I haven't heard of. But it's like with my anti-inflammatory oil. That's all herbs. Essential oils, that's made out of herbs. Tinctures. Potions. You name it, it's made out of it. Kitchen witches. All use herbs. Herbs are the central. Herbs and flowers. To me, I'm throwing flowers in with herbs because to me it's basically all one category. Even though in the past I separated the two, but that was because I was doing generalistic and there was a generalistic for both separately. But to me, herbs and flowers are all one category of magic. And it's typically incorporated in other types of magic. You're rolling candles in it. Or you're throwing stones into a witch's ball or a spell jar with herbs or a protection pouch or whatever. Herbs, candles, crystals all go hand in hand. Almost always. Candles being the one exception because you can do things with candles on their own. Technically, you can do things with herbs on their own. You just don't see it often. It's like the stone lends extra potency. Blood magic. This is where we get into a weird category. It's extremely powerful and potentially extremely dangerous. It is very powerful, very volatile. In most circles, it is highly frowned upon because of its association with sacrifice and the potential for dark magic. The blood is used to fuel spells and rituals as well as create bonds and supernatural links. Blood in common culture, TV, film, has been seen as a way to perform necromancy as well as sacrifice to deities. Hence the goats and the chickens and all that. Now, on the flip side, blood magic can be incorporated into a wedding ritual and into protection spells and things like that. It is not always dark. It is frowned upon in most circles because it is seen as dark, but it is not always dark. This is why I always go back to your intention matters. The first thing you have to think about before what you're going to do is your intention. Go into whatever you do with a clear head. Because your first intention should not be to hurt someone. Even if you're pissed, even if they make your life miserable, it should not be to hurt someone. It should be to protect yourself, to help, to heal. In my mindset. Everyone is different, but in my mindset, it's kind of like how when you go camping and you hear the phrase, leave the place better than you found it. That's kind of where I lean at with it. Next is knot magic. It's a very ancient practice that consists of tying a number of knots into a cord, usually with a purpose or magical intention for each knot. Different examples are a witch's ladder, binding knots, love spells, healing spells, etc. And it is meant to focus on intention. It is very common in the Celtic, Irish, Welsh. They are huge on knot magic. And they find power in it. And it's because it's an intention thing. And I apologize for anything in the background. The kids are insane. Weather magic. Let me preface this. Weather magic is dangerous. It can be dangerous. It is very divisive because of how dangerous it is and how one thing affects another. With weather magic, everything has a chain effect, kind of like the butterfly effect. What you do here can affect something across the world. For most, weather magic is the most difficult type of magic to work. It works with controlling the elements in order to change the weather. It can be used to form divination and forecasting future events. It is not to be taken lightly, as weather systems can affect the whole world in a domino effect. Though the more often than not, weather is used as a tool. If you are using it just as a tool and making use of the current weather to gain power, that is one thing. If you are reading the clouds or reading the weather as a form of divination, seeing what's to come, that is one thing. Do not use magic to change the weather. What you change here changes something across the world, down the road, whatever. It throws everything off. There's also darker magics. The use of dark energies in witchcraft. This would be consistent of curses and hexes and other types of dark energies in the craft. Typically done with negative intentions, harm and destruction. It is sometimes typically used for selfish purposes, or petty purposes, or vengeful purposes. And it can corrupt you over time the more you use it. Examples of darker magic. Some of these I cannot fully pronounce, so please forgive me for butchering. Necromancy, haemomancy, toximancy, shadow casting, life draining, and possession. I have seen a good bit of them. Never done it myself. I have had to break a couple. It's not fun. And it doesn't just hurt the person you're casting it on. It also hurts everyone surrounding that person, including if, say, an ex screws you over and you're wanting to hex them. You might have liked your ex's sister who warned you about him, or her, or whatever, and you're screwing her over too, because it follows bloodlines. It follows circles. I recently had to get with the other witches in my coven, quite a few of them, because a fellow witch decided she wanted to either hex or curse us or something, and it was dark, it was nasty, and it affected us for over a month, almost 2 months. And then she came later on to see what she wrought. After that, I had caught on to what was going on and tried to break it, and it made it worse trying to break it on my own. We had to get, let me think, 5 witches together? 5 or 6 witches together, and go full ritual just to break it. And return to sender it and do protection and things like that, because the standard stuff was not working. The darker magics, it's one of those fuck around and find out things. You're gonna do it, you're gonna feel great at the moment, and then when it comes back to bite you, it's gonna bite you threefold. I mean, I'm not particularly Wicca. I practice witchcraft. I'm not particularly Wicca, but the threefold rule is a pretty good one. It's, everybody believes in karma in some way, shape, or form. What you give, you're gonna get. That's just kind of how it works. It might take some time, but you're gonna get back what you give. Now I'm gonna do a quick run through of occult. I wanted to do both of these in one video because I figured the occult one would be quicker to go through. So I'm going to run through it really quick. Occult practices encompass a broad range of beliefs, activities, often described as hidden secret or related to supernatural or esoteric things, such as forms of magic. We have Wicca, chaos magic. Wicca is a modern pagan religion involving rituals, spells, and reverence for nature and or a god and goddess. Chaos magic, it's a postmodern approach to magic that emphasizes flexibility and experimentation, often incorporating elements from various traditions. Natural magic, a form of magic that seeks to manipulate natural forces and energies. Ceremonial magic, which is ritual magic, a disciplined form of occult practice that utilizes elaborate rituals to achieve specific goals. You'll see ceremonial magic in any witchcraft form, whether it be for holidays or whatever. There's going to be some form of ceremonial magic. Alchemy, an ancient practice aiming to transform matter, often focusing on the transmutation of base metals into gold, but also with spiritual and philosophical interpretations. Other types of magic include elemental magic, sigil magics, healing magics, love magics, protection magics, and moon magics. And those are just a few examples. Next is divination. We have astrology, which is the interpretation of the influence of celestial bodies on earthly affairs. Women know better than anyone about how astrology truly affects everybody. It's gotten to the point our cycles go with the moon cycles. We have our phase of the moon, our time at the phase of the moon that everything happens, and yeah, no. We can literally time it by a moon cycle. That's how it used to be timed back in the day, which I thought was weird for the longest time. Anyways, tarot cards. Cards used for gaining insight into the past, present, future. Also helps you gain additional insight into other things as well. I will get into tarot a little more later down the line, probably a few classes down the line. Scrying, seeking vision or insight, often using reflective surfaces like crystal balls or mirrors or things of that nature. Other divination methods include rune casting, reading tea leaves, and using pendulums, reading palms. There's a bunch of different types. I haven't gotten into all of them, honestly, but there are plenty. Other practices and beliefs are necromancy, which is considered communication with the dead. Some have also considered necromancy to be bringing the dead back to life, but that can also be seen, examples of attempts of that can also be seen in other occult religions. There's also crystal healing, which is the belief that crystals have healing properties. Modern paganism, a diverse range of religions that often incorporate natural worship, rituals, and magic. Freemasonry is a secret society with rituals and symbolism that are also associated with the occult. The Freemasons are outwardly appear Christian. Inwardly, they have tendencies of Luciferianism. And I probably pronounced that a little bit wrong. But it's a seeking of knowledge and things like that. I even know of someone in the Freemasons who's a Satanist. It's a very odd group, honestly. I'm not opposed to them. I don't care one way or the other. They're just very odd. Hermeticism, a philosophical and spiritual tradition that emphasizes the interconnectedness of all things. They are also big into healing as well. But Hermeticism is also emphasizes hidden knowledge and wisdom drawing from various traditions such as the Gnostic, Jewish, and Egyptian philosophies. Think of it as like early day medicine. That's how I've always seen it. I could very well be wrong, but to me it's always been seen as like early day medicine, early day healing. But anyways, the Kabbalah is a form, or the Cabal, I don't know, a form of Jewish mysticism that explores deeper meanings into the Torah and the nature of God and the universe. This is where we start getting into one of the weirder ones to me. Satanism is a system belief, and practices often associated with the worship of Satan or other adversarial figures. Satanism is basically surrounded by gaining power and basically This is the what you believe if you want to just get what you want and claim a religion to it type thing. They are very much, it's very much a religion of excess. If you want it, you're going to get it, and they don't, and I could be wrong. I've always thought that they didn't believe that there was necessarily a karmic kickback from it. Very much an elitist type thing. But I don't know enough to truly judge. This is just from what little I know and in my opinion. On the flip side, Luciferianism is more about Lucifer before he, well, I guess, right, for the reason he was cast down and seeking knowledge. It's very much people in pursuit of knowledge. Which is kind of where what the Freemasons pulled from it. Spiritism it's a practice that involves communicating with spirits, such as through mediums or Ouija boards. Mediums are kind of a hit and miss thing. Most of them are scammers. The way I see it with a medium or a reader, if you don't trust, if it's someone new who you haven't known for a long time, I ain't paying it. I'm not going to pay for someone to talk to my dead grandma or to guess who this dead person that's trying to talk to them is. You can tell by cold reads, and we will do a class on cold reads and what to look out for. But there is a difference between a good medium psychic and a good tarot reader, card reader, palmist, versus what has become, even in the Houdini times, very scammy. There is witchcraft. It's a broad term for various magical practices, ranging from traditional folk practices to modern forms like Wicca. Okay. A phrase I've been kind of rolling in my head. You can be Wiccan without being a witch. No. You can be a witch without being Wiccan, but you can't be Wiccan without being a witch. And that's kind of like the overall thing. You can be a witch and still be this. No. Yeah, you can be a witch and still be this, but you can be this without being a witch type thing. Or you can't be this without being a witch. In some cases it works, some it doesn't. That's why I've just been messing with it in my head. Gnosticism is next. It's ancient spiritual movements that characterized by a focus on esoteric knowledge and spiritual liberation. Kind of along the lines of the Luciferianism. Shamanism. Practices where shamans act as intermediaries between the physical and spiritual worlds, often involving rituals and altered states of consciousness. Shamans they go through the ringer. Do not jump into it unless you are fully committed, and you're not going to change your mind halfway through, because it is hell, from my understanding. I've heard rumors that Wicca became a thing because of how severe it was to become a shaman. Because there have been a few people who, back in the day, There were a few people who tried to become a shaman and died because they couldn't make it through the rites, essentially. Neoplatonism. It's an esoteric philosophy based on the teachings of Plotinus, seeking to understand divine wisdom and the meaning of reality. Parapsychology, the study of psychic phenomenon like extrasensory perception and telekinesis. There are rituals, which there's a variety of them for every occult practice. They don't go anywhere. Other practices are animal magic, child sacrifice, candle magic, cults, occult sciences, alchemy, astrology, natural magic. There's also the hoodoo, the voodoo, the Santeria. There is also the Golden Dawn, which was Aleister Crowley's thing. And Aleister Crowley was a character and a half. When it comes to Crowley, he was actually one of the main incorporating not founders. His practices were one of the main practices that were incorporated into Scientology, because L. Ron Hubbard actually went and studied with Aleister Crowley when Aleister was older and the sex cult stuff went insane. And L. Ron Hubbard, post getting out of the Navy, during or after one of the World Wars, basically met Aleister and they did drugs, had all the sex, and he took that, what he learned from Aleister, plus what he learned from the Navy, plus a little bit of Christianity to make it look a little normal, and turned it into Scientology. That's why with a lot of Scientology things you will see the triangles and the crosses. The weird crosses is just to make it look halfway Christian. The triangle things are actually a nod to Aleister Crowley, outside of them having their own weird meanings in themselves, which that would be for another video if you want me to get into the history of Scientology. But that's not necessarily a here thing, or a right now thing. But this isn't even an exhaustive list of what the term occult can be used for in the broad sense, because it encompasses a wide range of beliefs and practices that fall outside of mainstream science and religion. Technically, Scientology is also considered, well, not even occult, but a cult. It is a cult. A very damaging human trafficking cult. And very family destroying. But that would be a video for another day if that was something y'all wanted me to get into. That's not necessarily the overlying purpose of this class. But like I said, if y'all want me to get into it, I can get some people together. We can make a whole big talk out of it. I have no problem with it. Y'all just have to tell me. Now, I'm going to ask. I don't know why I'm going to ask, but in the comments or in the chats, I want to see, what is your favorite form of magic to use? What form of the occult or what form of witchcraft do you lean more towards? And I know I didn't cover all the forms of witchcraft and all the forms of occult. I know I didn't. I know there's some that I had either completely spaced on or forgotten about or just don't know about. Remember, I'm still learning too. Everyone is learning. I know some people lean towards Wicca. Some people lean towards what is essentially the Christian version of witchcraft. I can't remember what it is off the top of my head. And the moment I turn the camera off, I will remember and say, damn it. But Solomonism, I think it is. I might be wrong, but it's something of the sort. But everyone leans a little differently. So please, let us know. What is your favorite form of magic to use? And what is your occult practice or form of witchcraft that you practice? Or form of paganism? Where do you lean on the pagan spectrum? I will probably do a short or a full video on the different belief systems in paganism or religion in general. It's something my friend Sim, who you saw a couple videos ago, she had given me, and it's actually very helpful. So I will probably do a short or a full-fledged video on that at some point. Also, tell me if you want me to start doing shorts. If you do, I'll do them here and there. I have no problem with it. You'll have to look over here for them, but I will do them here and there. But anyways, y'all have a great day. Thank you again to Jacksonville Witches Society for allowing me to start the classes and letting me share the classes as far and wide as possible to other groups as well. And if you are in the Jacksonville area and you are looking for a group that can help you find your home group especially, please go to Jacksonville Witches Society. They can help you. We have considered ourselves like the platform 9 3/4 of Jacksonville, where we just send you where you need to go and we're just a central hub. And we have no problem with that. We actually love it. It's nice to help people find their home. Because I had to find it the hard way. Most of us had to find it the hard way. But anyways, everyone, have a great day. And I'm not sure what the class is going to be on next week, so it's going to be just as much of a surprise to you as it will be to me. All right. Bye.